It's time to go around the entire NFL and dip into some gridiron gravy.
Dip it and rip it.
Now, probably most important to Cowboys fans, Joseph Hoyt is reporting that George Pickens is at the Cowboys facility right now, taking his physical with anticipation, as Clarence Hill reported earlier today, that he will be at mandatory minicamp tomorrow.
So he's getting physical, huh?
That's right, physical.
Hey, look again, no clue what's about to happen. But him being in the room, good thing.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I would say we should probably warn people like what you'll actually see from him in the next 3 days, whether it's because of contractual issues or because it's getting back up to speed, will probably be more limited.
Yeah, and doesn't it kind of feel like if there was animosity, that's it. It's not happening the way, right? You know, like
sure.
It feels like that they all kind of understand now. Whether they agree, different story. You don't really agree until you sign a big contract on both sides of things. Right. But it seems like they are all on the same page, at least of what needs to be accomplished here. We'll see, man. I'm looking forward to more coverage of these OTAs for you, Kevin.
Okay. Hey,
these mandatory mini camps.
I told somebody I would work on my attitude on that. Look, part of it's the coach's fault. Last week, Shoddy was like, yeah, you know, the people who miss, they can just catch up. And I was like, hold on. So that like had something to do with it.
I don't know if we've covered this much, or if you have thoughts about this, and maybe I could use this for something else, but Shoddy's saying that he's having dinner with players.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
I do. Look, because
he's like trying to make it a point to have a dinner with all the players.
And I think that's a great idea because, like, what's the downside? You know, like you could only see potential upside. Now, I would love it if every single player was intrinsically motivated, whether they hated their coach, whether they loved their coach, and anywhere in between. But I have no doubt that there's people out there in the world that, like, you might get that little extra something when you think that you didn't have anything left because you're like, I got to do it for Shoddy.
Well, and I think there's a natural hormone probably in your system that benefits from it, and it is kind of the idea of, like you just said, you want them to all kind of be motivated in a certain, like, whatever way it is that motivates them. He's got to get to know them.
Sure.
You know, he can't get to know every one of those dudes just by watching them in practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's got to tap in. And this is the way that it appears he wants to do it. You know, he knows that some of these guys are going to be with him for 5 years. Some of them are going to be with him for 3 weeks. And they might go on and do other things and be with other teams. But it's the way that he wants to build this team. And so, like, I do admire his approach to this because I think the line was, you know, show him my scars, show him my story.
Yeah.
And also learn theirs, too, because I want to know these players and what makes them tick.
I do not see a downside in this, and I appreciate the commitment and time.
Would you go to dinner with Shoddy?
For sure. I appreciate the time that he's putting into this, of course. Like outside of just regular football stuff. Now, we do have to move to a sad topic.
Oh, no.
Aldon Smith, we found out over the weekend, he passed away, I believe, at the age of 36. He had last played for the Cowboys in 2020, though I believe he might have been on a practice squad in 2021. And, you know, I don't want to say especially sad. It's sad either way. But then when you found out that he was delivering pizzas to a charity for the homeless, when he was discovered being unresponsive, like it's nice to see that he was doing something very uplifting and helpful. But I realize for people and his friends, family, loved ones, that doesn't change the fact that he is gone so young at the age of 36.
Yeah, man, that's a very tough story to hear on his part.
The report is that he had suffered a seizure or a heart attack. I'm sure in the ensuing days we'll get more information about that. Now, this question is, I've been thinking about this for a few days. Is there an NFL star that you think is most likely to fade this season? Now, my hand was probably tipped off by the fact that we played a Christian McCaffrey highlight there. So we can start with him if you want. Or I had another question for both of y'all. Davante Adams, or is he already faded? Like, not to say that he's not still a good football player, but is he faded away from the star category? Because Christian McCaffrey obviously has not.
Davante Adams, I could see kind of fading, but he is with Matt Stafford, and that's
right.
they see the game. They both see the game very cerebrally.
Yes.
And that's something that they're good thinkers of the game as much as they are physical in it, but they are good thinkers. For some reason, Puka's name popped up to me, but then I'm making the same argument about, well, he's with Matthew Stafford. But Puka's got this situation where he has a team that's like, we will go get Myles Garrett, but we're not going to pay you.
Right.
Even though you have given your body and you're battling out there. And the dude's an amazing receiver, one of the most physical receivers.
Sure.
It's tough to put your body through that all the time, especially if there's a possibility that your motivation might lack a little bit.
You know, it's interesting timing, right? When you were saying that from the 2 and 4, somebody said Matthew Stafford. So, like, while we're talking about the pass catchers.
I mean, let's just look at Matthew Stafford, just won MVP.
Right.
DeGrom had an amazing year last year, and Evaldi had an amazing year last year. What happened? The next year, it's a hard standard to live up to.
For sure.
So, yeah, going from that down, it might be Sam Darnold. It might be too much to try and replicate the Super Bowl
Is he
season.
star now? Is that what you're conceding?
Look, Seattle had not ever had a team up until last year.
Do it.
And,
they won a Super Bowl. You saw it.
You were the one that informed us Seattle had a team.
And they famously should have won the one right after that as well. From the 901, Drake May. From the 214, Matthew Stafford. From the 817, Saquon Barkley. From the 601, C.D. Lamb.
I got a question about Drake May.
Sure.
Does he need to answer questions about his coach?
I think not, but knowing the media culture, if he's already gotten them, sorry, I just missed that, they're going to come.
Yeah, I'm just like as training camp opens up and all those things. And
I feel like every player on the Patriots has been asked essentially some sort of that question, so probably.
And then if, let's say the season doesn't start off well and people start asking those kind of questions, I'm just kind of curious. And if he doesn't answer them the right way, does that fade his star? Or, I'm interested in that.
I don't think so, just because he's not the one responsible. But look, the Patriots are really high at my list of curiosities going into the season, where they were just in the Super Bowl. They have a young quarterback. They look like they should be primed to kick ass for a long time. But then there are other people who think they're going to regress with their schedule. And then obviously all the Rossini stuff. So I don't know. Somebody said Stephon Diggs. So Stephon Diggs is a great example of kind of like with Davante Adams. There was absolutely a time where he wasn't there. That still exists, or he's just like, he could be a good football player.
Didn't you say his catch percentage number was like 83 or something like that? You were like, we were looking at his numbers one day, and there was something about his numbers that we were like, that's just nuts that he's still doing it at that level. I can see that, especially now that his popularity outside of football has taken a bit of a hit too.
Alec, is there a player that jumps to mind to you that is a star that you think could potentially fade this year?
I don't know if I necessarily believe this one, but I think a conversation that people might have is Mike Evans, because of the change of scenery, on top of the fact that he did have some injuries that he dealt with last year. So older age, change of scenery, new quarterback, new system, on top of the fact that he's not getting any younger. I could see that.
Oh, okay. And then somebody said Patrick Mahomes. Are we sure he's going to be fine? I feel like the Chiefs are high up on my list of, if we're just saying curiosities, the Chiefs are really high up on there because everyone's saying the right thing about Mahomes. But that team wasn't really rocking along.
No,
you have questions about Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
You have questions about the rest of their skill players and their ability to keep their heads out of their asses for a season. I don't know about that either.
What's interesting, too, is like a Lamar Jackson and a Josh Allen will not. They just won't, because the entry will be, can they still get to the top of the mountain?
Right.
Like, that's the thing for them. Those guys can't. And also they're still so young in their career that they have plenty of time. They still have that talent too, and that excitement factor. This is an interesting question.
Now, a few other notes for you. Andre Rison was put in jail after a second offense for DUI. The Broncos have signed the UFL Offensive Player of the Year, Hakeem Butler. And then keep an eye out on this. This is a Raiders insider who had said last year that Max Crosby was going to get chopped, and everyone yelled at him. The 49ers and Eagles are still trying to trade for Max Crosby.
Really?
So, I mean, and maybe the Raiders are just like, no, it's not happening right now. But apparently teams are going to continue and be like, you did already trade him, and your team looks like you're not going to be that good straight away. So,
Yeah. Hey, I would like to go ahead and that's interesting, man.
We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan.